Your expected approach time 3-4, approach button 17, the altimeter 2997.
Well, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm your host, Prickly Hedgehog, and I thought it was long overdue since we had a little look at third-party developers as we move into the summer of 2022. So join me now as we take a little peek at some of the non-ED teams working to embellish our flying choices in DCS World. As mentioned in previous videos, Razbam are set to release the F-15E sometime in 2022, and of course the South Atlantic map has already dropped, the latter of which will have some additional assets and improvements as the development progresses. I understand that some of these assets will of course be able to be used in other maps as well, so stay tuned for more information on that. Additionally, Razbam is also working on various other projects, including the MiG-23 and a co-op helicopter project with Miltech 5, the BO-105. Miltech has been releasing some interesting shots of the work-in-progress chopper, including renderings of the pilot, one of which is sporting a pretty horrific-looking scar. In other words, the studio has some really interesting projects, not all of which have been mentioned. I'm really excited about the map and its ongoing development, and also this F-15E, which I think is going to be a very big fan favorite. A lot of people can't wait for this aircraft to be released. Razbam also announced that they were working on a form of AI which will enhance the front seat perspective for things that go on in the back seat that really do require a human player. This will just take some of the workload away from the pilot and is helpful for on-the-fly calculations and adjustments. There are of course a couple of even smaller studios quietly chipping away at some very exciting modules, some of which have also skin in the game in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. We'll start with Flying Iron Simulations, which of course is working on the A7E2 Corsair. Now, they haven't showcased any major updates since the beginning of the year, where they explained they were working on the flight physics of the aircraft and elected to redo the entire exterior modeling with the addition of a new artist to their team. The rationale for that particular component was to boost the realism of the aircraft's overall look to achieve the most realistic 3D rendition of the aircraft in a simulator. A couple of early cockpit renderings is all we have thus far, but I know they were working on some complex systems as mentioned to do with the flight systems and other mechanics of the aircraft in conjunction with this new artwork, so stay tuned for more information when it comes to hand. I expect a more detailed update from them fairly soon. Another anticipated aircraft is the MB339, which, as mentioned in earlier videos, is being produced by IndiaFoxtEcho. They produced a trailer recently, which I thought was particularly well done, and it indicates that perhaps a release date for this aircraft is going to be fairly soon here. I don't know why you would bother with a teaser trailer like that or an early access trailer with no date in mind for its pending release. Of course, it is a two-seat trainer. It's used by the Italian Air Force's aerobatic team, and it is a popular little module. It is a free module in the game right now, but this will be the full fidelity version of that, and they've done a lot of incredible work, including some interesting icing effects and other things that I haven't seen in the game from other studios, so stay tuned for a release on that. It's an exciting little aircraft. It'll slot in next to the C-101 and of course the L-39, which are also two-seat trainers effectively. The MB339 joins a similar on-track-for-release aircraft, and the Mirage F1 by Aegis Engineering SL looks also set for release. The team have picked up Red Kite to produce tutorials pertaining to various aspects of the aircraft's functions, similar to WAG's prior to release of ED products. It's a particularly attractive looking module with other variants planned. It will have some legs in the franchise, I think, with community reaction very positive to the module's insertion into the game. These early videos from Red Kite are a treat, and I suspect the module will have a good deal of appeal to both fans of the aircraft and those looking for a more analog experience in the combat arena and the digital complexity associated with some of the 4th gen aircraft we have. The plane could also form an interesting Red 4 equivalency to in the absence of those as full fidelity aircraft at this juncture of DCS's development. That topic comes up a lot, and it's difficult to predict what that side of things will look like post the Russian conflict with Ukraine, already 100 days plus into what looks like a protracted campaign. Certainly some Ukrainian farmers might have some new source material to dip into, but I doubt that'll be open source anytime soon. In other words, I'm not expecting to see any modern Red 4 planes like the Su-27 often asked for in the game anytime soon. Though we would all like to see that kind of thing, there is a mod out there which allows the simplified aircraft to have clicky cockpits to boost immersion. This isn't quite the same as the layers of a truly full fidelity aircraft, which provide a little bit more of a realism factor, and of course also are accompanied by the professional flight model, which is ED's proprietary separator of the full Monty aircraft over the less well represented AI and non-full fidelity aircraft. And irrespective of all of that geopolitical stuff, I'm really looking forward to seeing the F1 in the game, and what Airgus have done thus far looks absolutely amazing, so stay tuned for more on that. One aircraft I am asked about a lot, and that is the Red Star Simulations Mig-17, which still appears to be in full development. According to their website, the team are currently remodeling the Mig-17F from scratch in order to bring it up to the 2022 DCS standards, which includes new rough mats and liveries for the aircraft. They hope to have the aircraft in the hands of ED for review later in 2022, which is basically at the point in which ED approves the model for quality control, makes any recommendations, and then the team gets the green light to go ahead and insert the aircraft as an EA into the game. Obviously I'm simplifying quite a lot here, but you get the broad picture. This will be a popular Cold War aircraft and add much more meat to that era of aircraft, especially in conjunction with the arrival of the Phantom by Heatblur, hopefully later this year. Speaking of Heatblur, they have poured a lot of energy into improvements to the F-14, including the carrier landing system and a major overhaul of the autopilot system, plus some aesthetic tweaks to the exterior. The Big Turkey is a fan favourite, and of course our love affair with the historic jet was rekindled with a nice little nod to the Tomcat in the latest Top Gun Maverick movie, which was cool to see. Needless to say, the Tomcat, despite its detractors, is still a favourite of mine to fly, and I particularly enjoyed the autopilot update, which is a really handy feature, especially when you're trying to drop laser-guided bombs or conduct future TARPS missions. According to posts back in May, the team have suffered from some artwork setbacks since the Ukrainian situation and personal issues, but every effort is being made apparently to overcome these hurdles to bring us more features and improvements into the F-14 and other modules from the team. As mentioned, TARPS pods, ECM fairings, improved afterburners, tweaks to Jester for the F-14 are all still a work in progress. The A6 Intruder, the Phantom F-4-2, and of course the Typhoon are all listed on their public roadmap, among other numerous features and additions, not in any particular order here of course. Everyone is hoping for snippets on where that Phantom is for the progress chart, with the Typhoon being hot on the heels of that module's release. The A6, we believe, should be delivered post-Typhoon as far as I'm aware. These are some big hitting aircraft and popular modules, so stay tuned for more updates where they become available. I'm really looking forward to the addition of the Typhoon and the Phantom, and definitely the A6, which is a personal favorite. One third-party developer doing a lot of work right now is Magnitude 3, who posted a summer 2022 newsletter showcasing progress on various modules they're working on, and in one case completely overhauling thanks to new information they now have access to. They are producing the F4U-1D Corsair right now with several teaser vids and pictures illustrating CAD animations and also cockpit lighting effects, which are particularly exciting. The team advised that over the past 5 months they have been concentrating on finishing the Japanese assets, correcting the Essex carrier model, and the creation of the Corsair airframe for damage modeling. Along with that, finalizing the Crusader pilot model and venturing out for some photogrammetry sessions for their MiG-21 BIS. Yes, that's right, the MiG-21 is getting a major overhaul. The newsletter goes on to explain that the final touches on the airframe model included animation of the hydraulic hose, flap control rods, and the fabric covering the large hole where the landing gear struts rest into. Several techniques were used to accomplish this and prove time consuming to get the correct movements as best as possible. Modeling of the internal framework is coming along nicely too. When the tail section, say, falls off or takes critical damage, the structure underneath will be seen in all its glory. It's a nice attention to detail. In the cockpit we have developed, they say, a better approach to how the ultraviolet lighting reacts with the gauges and text. Using a complex system of layered textures and volumetric lighting, they came up with a visually appealing setting, lights that reflect off nearby surfaces, light bloom from fatigued eyes, and faint glows from distant objects, which I think is some pretty clever stuff. As mentioned in past updates, the team have several assets to accompany the release of the F4U, including Japanese ground-based assets and an Essex-class aircraft carrier. Their programmers have been working on the AI taxi routes and parking spots, as well as weapon sensors. While they don't have many screenshots of that work to be showcased, they did manage to capture one or two here when they finally fixed a bug that caused the aircraft not to follow the elevators going down to the hangar deck. No word here, as far as I can tell, on the often requested Japanese Zero Fighter or any Japanese carriers. Many of you will be wondering about the Chance-Vought F8J Crusader the team are also working on. Well, the following statement is pretty encouraging. As the Corsair gets closer to the finish line, the team have been able to allocate some time on an important aspect of the cockpit: the pilot. Their detailed pilot includes the following items that would have been found on any US Navy and Marine aviator during the late 1960s era. These are as follows: the APH-60 helmet, the A-13A oxygen mask, the MA-2 torso harness, the SV-2 survival vest, the Mk-3C life preserver, US Navy flight boots, Type B3 summer flight gloves, Mark IIA anti-G cutaway coveralls, and Tiger Stripe flight suit. With the pilot model now finished, they will then begin work on texturing and animations. That's pretty exciting news, with the Crusader being a huge community favorite among the naval aviation fans out there. If it joins the A7E2 Corsair, the A6 and the Tomcat will be pretty spoilt for choice among historic Cold War era naval planes to launch and trap with, that's for sure. As I mentioned, the team are also working on a mission to overhaul the MiG-21 BIS, and they have begun preparations for this massive undertaking. Once the Corsair is released and completed, they will be able to give us more information about the attention that they're going to give that particular aircraft. In recent months, though, they have expanded the library which they have on the aircraft and comprises twice as many manuals and technical documents as they originally had. This will allow them to simulate some of the systems in a manner not possible at the time the module was actually released, which is pretty cool. Furthermore, their head of the research department has taken a few trips to museums in both Poland and Germany to gather a large collection of pictures of the MiG-21, with the intention to use them for recreation of 3D model and textures through photogrammetry. There's no question that in order to provide the best visual quality, they say, they need to take advantage of all the newest technologies available to them. This technology in turn gives them the opportunity to turn things that were previously impossible into a reality. So there are some pictures here which show closely the process at various stages of that photogrammetry, and these include things like points, cloud, mesh model reconstruction, and the final texturing. The model will be a fine template to create the new cockpit for that MiG-21, so I'm sure you're all excited about that. So that's a very quick overview of some of the third-party modules being developed for DCS World right now. Let me know if you have a favorite among those, and let me know what your thoughts are in general about these third-party products. We really are getting more and more aircraft into the game and additional assets, which is proving to be pretty exciting. I know a lot of people are excited about the Corsair, the F4U, the World War II aircraft. It's a tremendously popular and iconic American aircraft. So again, let me know what your thoughts are, and this will do for this particular video. I hope it found you well, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, share, and chat about it in the comment section below. If you really want to support the channel a little bit more, there is of course the super thanks button as well. I really appreciate all of the feedback that I get from the community. So stay tuned for more. This is Prickly Hedgehog out.